Welcome back, WNST, Towson, Baltimore, and BaltimorePositive.com. We are feeling ourselves here in the March winds. And let's see, March Madness, spring training. Almost going to have a horse race around here in a couple of weeks as well. And, of course, it's hockey season for some of my friends. And this guy is one of them. He handles our dough around here and tries to give us advice about old taxes and saving money and the American dream and what to do with your money. Even if you have 10 cents, he'll try to turn it into 11, and then it compounds into 12.4. And before you know it, you might have $1.25. He is Leonard Raskin. He is Raskin Global. I am on his witty newsletter from time to time, and he handles money, including helping us around here from time to time as we're getting up on tax season. But more than that, Leonard, I know a guy like you, and like Dennis is like this too. My friends and stuff, and the clients you're all like, when Trotz happens with news, I get inbounded from all of you, and all you want to know the same thing. If I knew before you knew, or like what I knew, and then I have to go back to like the Cuban food in Trotz's kitchen in Long Island when he said to me, "I'd love to be a general manager one day." And he's like,
go.
"I'm moving back to Nashville. My daughter's opening a business there, you know." But and he never said anything like, "Well, David's been there a long time. Maybe there's consulting." He never did any of that. So
Right.
when he showed up on the podium with the fang
Next to
fingers the
Poyle.
other day as my lifer friend taking over when he's already going to the Hall of Fame, if I don't crow and have some semblance of pride about that, and I know how much you love hockey, so
Yes,
I know
sir.
I was on the tip of your text the other day. So welcome in, man. How you
Absolutely.
been?
Doing great. It was interesting to see because we were conjecturing after he was let go as the coach what was going to be next, and sure enough, next is general manager of the Preds, and he loves it there, so why not? They love him there. And Poyle, I'm sure you've seen him. I remember, and I'm sure you do too, when Poyle was general manager of the Caps and had that coif of beautiful gray hair, and then suddenly it turned brown.
You know what's crazy? It's the same thing I told my wife. And you know what? So a couple, and I'll play some inside poker with you because you like my fun little inside stories.
Sure.
So Trotz and I were together for all day up in Long Island. I went to see John Mayer. It was literally the last 24 hours he was the coach. He didn't know he was getting fired, by the way. He really didn't.
Right.
I mean, I was there all day. We ordered out for Cuban food. We laughed like hell. We just had fun. Like, we were friends. We're in his kitchen.
Yeah.
His boy Oldie's playing games on his video. Like, our wives didn't really know each other well and got to really know each other that day. It was a beautiful day. But all of these things get said and whatever. And we're out, like, we're in his trophy room and we're just telling stories and whatnot. And there was a picture of Poyle, and he's like, "Did David hate you?" And I'm like, "No, David never hated me." He said, "Who hated you?" And I'm like, "Dude, it was Robbie Fatorik hated me." He's like, "Oh, yeah, I knew one of the guys." And I said, "No, David always liked me." I said, "David was the reason that I became a Predators fan." I ran into David Poyle covering, it was, how about this? Super Bowl Radio Row week, 1998. I was about to fly to Australia for a month. I was 29 years old.
Yep.
That Bill Walton interview that I put up was that week.
Sure.
That week, the Predators were a brand new franchise.
You're right.
Like,
right.
they were like, and I went up to Anaheim to see an Anaheim Ducks hockey game. I don't even remember who I think they played Miami Panthers that night, maybe. I'm up in the press box on Wednesday of Super Bowl week. I drove up San Diego up to Anaheim to see a hockey. I love hockey, right?
Sure.
And Poyle's there. And I'm like, "David." He's like, "Hey, Nestor." We sat together the whole game in 1998. And I said, "What are you doing now?" He's like, "Oh, I'm the new Nashville Predators general manager." I'm like,
how about it? There you go.
I don't even know if they were called Predators yet.
Right.
Like,
the new Nashville hockey team.
And he said, "Barry Trotz is my coach." I'm like, What? He said, "I'm going to send you a hat and a jersey in the mail." Yep. And I told him how disgruntled I was with the Caps and Ted at the time. And they moved to DC. They just moved to MCI, like all that. Right. So that year, I want to share this picture with you right now and with the world that's watching. This is from underneath the LA Forum, okay?
You, the blonde, and him with his brown.
So here's the funny thing. I put this picture up the other day because they're back with the Predators, and obviously David looks the same. This is what I said to my wife. I said to my wife,
Exactly.
he had silver hair forever.
He did.
And then he went
did.
brown. And now he's looked 55 for 25 years
Right.
when he looked 55 when he was 35. I said, people think my hair is something. Like David is a superstar, but this is a beautiful hockey story.
Only your
really
hairdresser knows for sure. So I just remember him being with the Caps and having that gray hair. Like you said, he looked like he was 50 when he was 30, and then he turned 40 and he decided he wanted to be 20 again.
You know what he did the between period reports almost every game, right?
Absolutely.
He was on with Al Koken.
Home Team Sports.
Like in the first period or second period, every night, talking
every
to
game.
the fans, communicating
look,
to the fans.
You used to be able to call in. You could call in.
Yeah,
I called in.
Call 301 Home Team Sports.
I called in a couple times talking about some of the guys in the minors, like when so-and-so coming up. And he'd say, we're watching them, blah, blah, blah. I remember, you'll love this one. I called in one time because I was watching, I don't even know how I had it, a feed from some team out there that back in the cable days I had, and they had super slow-mo. And I called in during an intermission and asked David when the Caps were going to get on Home Team Sports super slow-mo because the replays were phenomenal. And he told me, I'll never forget, we think our technology is pretty good here. We think we're state-of-the-art. We're doing good thing, blah, blah, blah.
You know what it probably was? It was probably USA doing the Rangers games because they had money. They had money.
Who knows, man? It was something. MSG or before MSG or whatever. Sure. And it was something else. But yeah, every game you used to be able to call in and ask the GM. And it was Al Koken and
Mike Fornes.
Mike Fornes.
Yeah.
Boy, did he call a great game. Mike Fornes called a great game. A shot and a goal. He was the only one. He was the only one that didn't shoot and score. He was a shot and a goal. And goal. And then they brought in Jeff Rimmer, who's now Columbus. Doing the Columbus
absolutely.
Blue
Jeff Rimmer's son is a good friend of mine, and
Jeff does the Columbus game.
Yeah, and you know what? So, I saw Jeff Rimmer that night in Florida, in Anaheim. I remember Jeff Rimmer saying to me, "David is here. He's the new general manager." It was like Rimmer was calling the Panthers game that night. He was calling the Florida Panthers then. Yes.
Right. So now you got Trotz, who's going to take over July 1. David's going to finally retire after 100 years, looking like he's 30. Maybe he'll let his hair go gray again. But I saw an interview with him recently. He said, I don't know if you saw the press conference they did, but he said— I
saw it. Oh, yeah. I mean, I got choked up. I really did. Seeing Trotz walk out there and get his
what did he say, the hat trick? The hat trick, he said, the love of his life, living in a great place, and 51 years married and living in Nashville and the dream job. And David's a guy had a good run. He's had a great run. He's done some great things in the sport, and now he's got Trotz taking over, and go figure.
And if they have a parade, it'll be his parade too.
There you go. Go.
I mean, it really will be his parade too.
Absolutely.
And Barry talked about a parade, and man, I'll be at that parade. I really will be. I mean, I was first on the boat with that, and so hockey. I got to get to you and I, man, between vacations and this and that.
Yeah.
You did the college hockey game out.
Yes,
in Cleveland,
we did.
Right?
Yes, we did.
Hockey in Cleveland. I did that. I went to a Cleveland Lumberjacks game once. True.
It was the Ohio State Buckeyes against that team up north, the Wolverines, in an outdoor game. It was called the Face-Off on the Lake. It was at the Brown Stadium. So what was cool about the Brown Stadium, I'm sure you've been there plenty, but what was cool about that was seeing Ozzy up in the Ring of Honor. So that was fun. That stadium ain't all that, I can tell you that. I'm surprised for as new as it is that it ain't all that. But the boy was there. The reason we went, the boy was there in the band doing Script Ohio on Ice, which you can see at the Ohio State Athletic Band page, and it is amazing.
So they dotted the I.
They march on the ice.
They
march on the ice in rows, and then they form the OHIO, dot the I, and play on the ice. It is phenomenal. It's really phenomenal.
Look at you, proud Poppin'. You know?
That's right. And so we went to the game, and the band, the Ohio State band, was sitting in the dog pound, the only place in the stadium that has bleachers and not seats. So they're sitting in the bleachers. It was about 30 degrees, wind whipping off the
Well, what did you
lake.
want? 78 and sunny in February
No,
in
man,
Cleveland?
no, it was chilly. It was beautiful. It was a great game. They won 4-2. We had a great time. Saw the boy for about 20 minutes before he got on the bus to go back to school. Then the wife and I hung out in Cleveland for a weekend, and we did a nice brunch. And then we went to the Christmas Story house.
Did you?
We did. The only problem, it's crazy. It was closed for maintenance.
What?
Closed for maintenance. We drove in, supposed to open at 11. We drove in. We get there. Cars are piling in the parking lot, and it's all closed.
You'll shoot
So
your eye out.
People are taking pictures outside, but you can't get in. No museum, no gift shop. It's all closed. It's really crazy. They closed the whole complex down. I found that amazing that place is right in the middle of a little neighborhood.
It's a neighborhood. Yeah, it's right by
And there it
Tremont,
is.
right by that
Right.
place I was.
There's
the
that
bakery I
little
sent you
house.
down to. Yeah.
There's that little house. And so we hung out, and then we went to the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. Did a day at the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame, which was a blast.
Now,
Absolute
Rock and Roll
blast.
Hall of Fame, better than advertised, worse,
Yes.
value,
No,
50 bucks
better.
to get in. What? Yeah.
Better. Absolutely. Never been there. 3 hours of a day, a little over 3 hours. Fantastic time.
I love the Rock and Roll Hall
They have
of
a
Fame.
big Beatles exhibition going on, Let It Be, where they're showing the rooftop concert and the acoustics, the sound, everything about the place was above what was expected, beyond what was expected. It was fantastic.
I've been there into the theater twice recently. The one time I walked in there, the Springsteen Madison Square Garden shows from '99. I was at one of those shows, was up. And the other time I went in there, it was the Stones coked out of their mind in '73 at the show in Texas, where they're playing 5 times too fast and mix all over the place, like it was, but every time you go back, there'll be something else there.
Yeah,
next time you go, be Linda Ronstadt or something.
That's right.
Leonard Raskin is here. He was there in Cleveland. So you give Cleveland a thumbs up?
I thought it was a great time. Took a picture outside the stadium with Jim Brown. Me and Jim hanging out on the statue area. But it was a good weekend. In and out, had a nice time, a lot of fun, came home, back to work. And then all of a sudden, my Capitals are selling off. They're selling parts.
Gotta go one direction or another, right?
Yeah, they got to sell parts. Look, they told Ovechkin that on his quest to Gretzky's record that they wouldn't blow up the team and rebuild, but that they would do what they needed to do, but they wouldn't blow it up so they didn't have a chance while he was hitting record. And I don't think they have. They've gotten rid of some free agents that they would have gotten nothing for, that were not going to re-sign. They weren't going to re-sign them, and they got some good draft picks back. They got a couple players back, and all in all, you can't ask for more than that. You get back some players, you get back some draft picks, you can bring some good people in. They'll bring in the people to at least be contenders. But this year, unfortunately, they got a big uphill battle with about 20 games to go if they're going to make the playoffs. I don't think they're going to make the playoffs this year. It could be the first time in a long time that might happen, but we'll see.
Well, you know what? The Orioles are going to be good in April, so you're not going to have to worry about Capitals, right?
There you go.
So when it comes to the Orioles,
in the past, I've done the doubleheader. I've done Orioles opening day followed by Caps playoffs. That's a great
times, man.
Great doubleheader. Great doubleheader.
Well, you like to have those problems with a relevant baseball team.
That's right.
Lights in April.
That's right.
I just want to say this to you because we talk about Trotz and the Capitals, and now we're 5 years later, we're breaking up the band, and it didn't happen again. And I think for any fan, you could look at this and say, Leon just really cheapskated his way with Trotz, and through all of it, that they had great leadership and that's important. The Ravens are about to go through this thing with Lamar now, right?
We'll see.
The Orioles, I just want to bring the Orioles into this for a minute.
Yeah.
Because Luke and I had a conversation this week about it, and Luke said something, and I'm going to hold him so accountable for this, right? Because he said this because he's a fan. He loves the team.
Yeah, right.
He's tired of bad baseball. We all liked better baseball last year, right? He said, and I thought this is like the most damning thing ever, and I brought this up with Dennis earlier in the week. He said, just in passing, they could have done more. They should have done more in the offseason. Now, forget that they're a baseball team. Forget that it's Angelos, money, mass, and whatever. Right. But in any walk of life, for any of your clients, for anybody in your family, for any expectation you have, no matter what hotel you stay in, sandwich you buy, car you buy, service you get, I would hate to have anyone say about Leonard Raskin, if I were Raskin Global, he could have done more. He should have done more.
Yeah,
If I'm saying that about you, or you're saying that about me, or my clients
right.
say that about me, or my wife, or my family, or he could have done more. He should
Yeah,
have done
so
more. And I'm thinking to
what
myself,
is he thinking they should have done?
spend some money, gone and gotten some players. You know what I mean?
Well,
Like made their team
they've
better.
made
You know?
their case as to what they were gonna do. They did what they said they were gonna do.
Nah,
The
Elias.
rebuild is coming. He's
Yeah,
now saying the rebuild's over. It's time to win. And I think you hold him account in September.
I agree.
I
Hey, I
think,
said to Luke, the answer to him was if they trade for two real players on, you talk about the trading down when it
yeah,
can.
yeah.
If that's their plan, is to expend a couple of these baseball prospect,
Yep.
that to someone else to get the right pitcher and take on 18 million next
To
year. If
finish.
they do that, I'm good. I'm good with that. I'm
Look,
fine.
if this team goes from whence they've been to this year playoffs, then I think you hold them to account at the end of the year. Now, if they stink and they don't have the season that everybody hopes they have, including obviously them, if that doesn't materialize, then I'm with them. Then I say, okay, they could have done more. But if their build plan and their young pitchers and their bullpen and their young players and their prospects and who they got, which are not A list, but maybe A list, a couple guys, and they have a run at the playoffs and they make it, that will be a huge turnaround from a team that hadn't been 500 forever. That
But it
one
is
year,
different when they have expectations this year.
but that's what I'm saying.
This year, we're all saying they better make the playoffs. They
Well,
do
that's
whatever they
my
want in the
point.
offseason, but they better make the playoffs.
That's my point. So they've been under 500 forever. Last year above 500, right? And so now we're going to go from success was being 500 to success is you got to make the playoffs. And I'll hold them to account in October if they don't, or if they come up, a game or two short. Okay, but this is not the year to talk about rebuild, and they're not. They're saying this is the year we're going for it. If they pick up that piece or two at the end, they jaunt into the playoffs. If I can go to a playoff game in October, I'll consider that they did enough. And if they win the World Series, well, you should go right now. And this is not financial advice, but right now might be the time to put $10 on them winning the World Series. What's the run?
It's readily if you don't have to go to Costa Rica anymore,
right?
as John Martin tells me in the Maryland Lottery. So
what's the odds today? What's the odds today on the Ravens making the World Series?
What do you mean the Orioles?
I'm sorry. Yeah, right. Thank you. But the Orioles making the World Series. You can put $10 on that and see how it comes out in October.
But Leonard, you mentioned raised expectations.
Yep.
Nobody's expectations are getting higher than the Terps all of a sudden, right? Like they've won some games. I mean, look, the Terps and the Orioles, as a sports guy, a lifer sports guy here, 31 years, 25 years with a sports radio station, man, the Orioles and the Terps in recent years, right, have become – nobody talks to me. I don't talk to them. No. Now, the Orioles bring it back last year, and then 6 months later, here are the Terps on the precipice of, okay, they're going to make the tournament.
Can they win on the road?
Okay, shooting in odd gyms is always,
It's crazy, isn't it? Isn't the basket the same place? Isn't it the same height? Isn't it the same range?
Not to 19-year-old young men historically over the last 50 years to be watching.
That is a very weird conundrum to me. That you play in a different gym and you play differently in a different gym. It's a very strange. It's not like baseball where the dimensions of the stadium are different. Football, home and road, man, it's 100-yard field by what, 35? Is that what it
basketball, you see the basket differently. There's no question. Depth perception.
I don't understand that one
Steph
bit.
Curry's got something going on with his eyes that, in regard to focus and depth perception, that's just different than other people. I mean, really.
Right,
I mean,
but I don't get
man's got a gift.
hey, it's Terps Ohio State this week. Terps Ohio State. Ohio State basketball. No good. They've been talking about college rebuild, right? They've been
rebuilding since Gary left.
No. They had a good year the last couple years. They lost all their players. They have one junior, 4 freshmen in their starting 5. and freshmen and sophomores
They're too
coming off
busy
the
paying the
bench.
football players, and I can
That's
say
right.
that out loud now for real.
That's right, because they are. So next year, I think they'll be really good. But Maryland plays at Ohio State this week. It'll be interesting to see because Ohio State's like 1-14 in the
I
last
didn't have
15.
any problem with shots at the Schottenstein Center when I saw Jimmy Buffett.
There you go. You did shots just fine. So now it's
it was
going to
the
be
rebound that was the problem. The next
there
morning.
you go. Can the Terps win on the road? That's what it comes down to, because clearly they can win at College Park. They went undefeated against the Big Ten at home.
Well, you
If they
mentioned
can win on
leadership
the
with
road-
Trotz, right? Like this guy has been a complete. It's been a heart transplant for the franchise, Kevin Willard.
Yeah, and it's been a surprise to the fans because I don't think the fans liked the pick before the season. And somehow, fair weather Terps have all come out.
Hold on. They're Terps fans. They hate everything.
I've
been doing this a long time.
If it ain't Gary, it ain't Terps.
They hated Gary. I mean, come on.
Right.
Gary hated them sometimes. You know what I mean? Like,
right.
They were here a long time.
But they were down on this guy big. They were down on this guy until now. He's undefeated, Big Ten home season, and he is king for life at College Park.
Well, Leonard Raskin's king at Raskin Global. You can find him at raskinglobal.com. Managing money. All right, so it's March 1st, and
yes,
my taxes aren't done, as you well know.
Yeah, of course not.
When it comes to this time of the year, should I be panicked or should I file an extension? What's the deal with the extension? Like, just get people a little focused because it's what you do. I mean, we say it sports every time, but like my first thought as a human right now is, hey, my taxes aren't done. Well,
April 15th will be here before you know it. It'll be here quickly. So the bottom line is, here's what you must know. You must file either your tax return or your automatic stay of execution, which is called an extension, on or before April the 15th. So if you file either, the second part of this, which people miss sometimes, is you must pay your taxes. So any taxes that you owe have to be paid with the return or with the filing of the extension. When you do that, with the extension, what you're saying to the IRS is, I'm not ready to give you the details, but here's the money. And as long as they've got the money, you can hold off on the details for 6 months. So it's all good. But if you don't pay the taxes, bad day, penalties, interest, compounding continuously, just become an unbelievably obscene number. So you file the return, you file the extension.
Is it good that the government's mean in that way?
No, I think the government's horrible in every way. I don't think they should.
But when it comes time to collect and you don't pay your fair share,
I'm all for you. Well, your fair share is all relative, right? I'm all for you paying what you owe. I'm also all for finding every way possible to avoid the taxes. Look, my opinion about income tax goes like this, and it's contrary to most everybody out there that I've ever talked to. But here's my opinion on the for what it's worth department. Nobody should pay taxes on their income for working. No one. You're trading your labor for cash. And that trade is a straight up, no gain trade. I work, you pay. You pay, I work. If I don't get paid, I'm a slave. So paying me is not a gain for me. It's transfer of your money for my work. Therefore, it should not be taxable. To me, taxes should be assessed on gains where there was no effort put forth on my part. I have no problem taxing capital gains. That's where taxes should be. Taxes should be levied on goods and services. Taxes should be levied on gains not worked for. Wages are a trade, so I shouldn't pay any income tax on my wages at all. Just think of how much more money would be in the system, how much bigger the economy would be, how much more wealth our society would have if the government didn't take it all.
But they would just raise the tolls, wouldn't they? Or they
that's
would just
okay, but I have
no,
that's okay. I have the choice of how to drive. I can drive on a toll road, or I can drive on a
estate,
road without the tolls.
There's a million ways to create revenue in a society,
and I'm all for all of those where choice is involved. I can buy a bigger house, a smaller house.
I don't have a choice to not work. Your point, right?
My point is I work for a wage that pays my life, and That's a trade of labor for value, and I shouldn't be
See,
taxed
I'll
on it.
hear this in your TED Talk, Leonard Raskin. I'll listen to this. I
There
mean,
you go. There
fully,
you
is
go.
that an independent concept, a Republican concept, or
It's
some,
just, to
where's
me,
that
it's
from?
just a real concept. It's what the country was founded on. There wasn't an income tax till 1913. And so, prior to that, we didn't have it. When it started, it was 7%.
Was that Woodrow Wilson,
7%.
Coolidge? Who pissed everybody off with that one?
Wilson.
That was
Loser.
we're going to war, right?
Woodrow
That's what
Wilson,
that is, right?
loser. No, it was just loser. Here was the deal. 7%, you had to make over $500,000 a year in 1913 to be assessed.
So it was a Vanderbilt tax.
That's exactly right.
Yeah.
It was the rich paying something that was levied on their income. And the government said, we will never raise the rate. They haven't stopped lying since 1913.
Leonard Raskin, shoot it straight at Raskin Global. You can find him at raskinglobal.com for thoughts on hockey, basketball. Did I miss any sports?
We're good. We got hockey. We got hoops. We got Orioles. We didn't talk Lamar. What's up with Lamar? Is he signing or is he not signing? Are they franchise tagging him? What's going on? Let's go. Let's just get some movement. I just want something other than all the talking heads, including you and me and whatever, talking about it. I want some news to talk about.
I didn't mention him. You did.
No, I said I want some news. I want some news already. Let's go. He's tweeting. Did you see he's tweeting crazy things?
God. Of course he is. He is Leonard Raskin. I am Nestor. We are WNST AM 1570. We'll talk about those next week. We never stop talking. BaltimorePositive.com. Stay with us.